Welcome back to our cooking channel. Susan here. For today, we'll be making some Chinese barbecue pork buns, also known as Char Siu Bao. Just look at these beautiful buns right here. Steaming hot and plump with a beautiful soft, smooth and aerated skin. Overflowing with chewy, succulent, sweet and salty char siu. Let's get it on. Here is a list of all the things you'll need. A large mixing bowl for raising and making the dough. A food scale to measure your ingredients. And some utensils. A pair of chopsticks, a teaspoon, a tablespoon, and a whisk. And another bowl for mixing, medium-sized. And now some ingredients. Some instant dry yeast. Some baking powder. Some sugar. We prefer brown, but you can also use white sugar. It's up to you. And then some cake flour. We're using cake wheat flour here. And lastly, for our wet ingredient, fresh full cream milk. I forgot to mention you'll also need cling wrap and scissors. We will start with measuring and warming up the milk. In your medium mixing bowl, we will measure 325 ml of fresh cold milk. Once that is done, we'll be transferring the milk into a pot for warming. On high heat, warm the milk for about 30 seconds. Make sure that it does not boil. And then we'll transfer it back into the mixing bowl. There we go. You can see the milk is just slightly steaming, not boiled at all. And we're going to measure 1 teaspoon of the instant dry yeast. We're going to be mixing this into the warm milk. Make sure that when mixing, all of it has been dissolved into the milk already. You can also use a whisk. We made a mistake by not using a whisk here. We just used a teaspoon. That's why it's taking a little bit of a longer time for the yeast to be melted. Okay, once that's done, we're going to measure 600 grams of the cake flour into our large mixing bowl. There we go. You can pour it out also, but we prefer to not waste any flour, so we're just scooping it out with a spoon here. Once that's done, we're going to move on to measuring 30 grams of sugar. We use brown sugar here. You can also use white. It's all up to you. Next up, it's the baking powder. We're going to measure 1 teaspoon or about 6 grams of baking powder. Now we're going to mix it all up with our whisk. Everything for about 1 to 2 minutes just to make sure everything is done properly. Now we'll be taking our trusty chopsticks here and we're going to slowly pour in our yeast and warm milk mixture. We're going to mix this very slowly until it forms small little clumps everywhere. There we go. We just sped this up because it does take a little bit of time because we're mixing so slowly here. You can see the dough is not doughy yet. It's still very much separated particles there. There we go. We're nearly done. We're still mixing and mixing it. Just keep on chomping at it. Okay, we're done now. It should look like this now. Very sticky at the moment, but at least all the flour has been wet or moistened. Now we're going to start to knead it. Okay, we're slowly grabbing any fine flour particles at the bottom. We're busy kneading it into the bowl here. As you can see, we're grabbing it. And because it doesn't want to stick anymore, we're just adding a tiny bit more milk here so that we can mop up all that other flour there at the bottom. You're going to keep on kneading for about 5 to 10 minutes until you reach a elastic and soft consistency. There we go, we're nearly done, and here we have it. The dough should be nice and soft and not too sticky anymore. We're just busy rounding it off here, and now we're going to leave it inside this bowl here for about 2 hours for it to raise. We put about 2 or 3 layers of cling wrap just so that air won't get into it. It's char siu time. We prepared 4 pork chops here, and the first thing we're going to do is put about 2 tablespoons of olive oil on the pan. Make sure the oil is covering the pan bottom, and we're just going to layer all our pork chops on it, just trying to move it around so that it gets good enough cooking area here. I'm going to fry it for about 2 to 3 minutes on each side. There we go. just slightly cooked, and we're going to slow cook this. The heat should be on medium-low heat. There we go. The pork juices are all frying out. We've just added only oil here. We're going to cook it for a little bit longer before we start adding spices. We just cut it a little bit so that it's easier to fry because our pan's not big enough. But the pork sure is smelling so good, and it's sizzling away. There we go. As you can see, it's starting to cook quite nicely. So we're going to keep on turning and flopping them so they don't burn. And it's about done now. Next, we will cube all our pork chops and also remove the bones and the skin rind if there's any. First, you'll place all the pork chops on your chopping board, and be careful. Your fingers slowly remove all the bones first. There we go. Just chopping away, and now we're removing the skin rind. As you can see, the pork is cooked, but not too dry. It still looks very succulent and tasty, even though we have not put any taste on it yet, just the oil. Just removing all these skin rinds here. And we're about done now. Okay, now we're going to first cut it like this so that we can cube it nicely. If there's anything you don't understand or have questions, please leave a comment down below and I'll reply back to you as soon as I can. When choosing the pork chops, it's best to choose them with a little bit more fat on it, because the fat will bring out the delicious taste that you get from pork. There we go, we're just busy chopping away. We'll chop the meat side and then the fatty side later. The fatty side will be all mixed up later. This recipe can make about 20 palm-sized buns. There we go, we're still busy dicing and chopping up our pork chops here. As you can see, I'm chopping the fat and the meat separately, and it's best to make the cubes all about the same size so that it cooks better and it retains the taste better later when we're adding on our seasonings. We go, just scoop up everything into our medium bowl here, and we're about to make some char siu. We're going to put the seasonings real soon. Before we do that, we're going to prep 2 onions here, peel it and halve them. There we go. And then we are going to dice them all up like this. Just be careful your fingers when doing so. And look at this beautiful heap of chopped up onions. Okay, now we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil again onto our clean pan. And we're going to coat it all around there, at the bottom there. And we're going to brown our onions now. There we go, just scoop it all in there and mix it all up. There we go, it's going to fry nicely now. Okay, as you can see, it's starting to slowly turn yellow, and now we're going to add in our chopped up pork chops. Add everything inside and mix it up well. About to start adding the seasonings. First up is salt. Just busy sprinkling the salt all over here, all over the surface. Just keep on sprinkling. I'd say I've added about 1 teaspoon of salt here, and now it's the white pepper. Just busy dusting it on top here. Maybe also about 1 teaspoon. And then the black pepper. Just busy slightly putting some on top here. Also about 1 teaspoon. And we mix it all up. There we go. It's frying nicely. It's like a stir fry right here. It's smelling so good. And now, because you know char siu sauce is sweet, we're going to add 5 teaspoons of sugar. And 1 teaspoon of chicken stock powder. The heat is on medium-low heat here. We're slowly frying it away. We're going to cook this for about 5 minutes. There we go. Keep on stirring and frying so it does not burn. And now we're going to add a little bit of hot water so that it can cook in its juices here. There we go. I'd say we added about half a cup, but It's up to you. If you like your char siu saucy, you'd add more water. We like ours just right. Now we're going to add 3 teaspoons of hoisin sauce. There we go, simmering away, mix it all inside. And now 3 teaspoons of char siu sauce. Look at that sticky goodness right there. Okay then, now we're just gonna mix it all in. There we go, while slowly frying it away. It's smelling so much like char siu now. I'm just adding a little bit more hot water there because I like it a little bit more saucy. Now, I'd say we added about 2 tablespoons of hoisin sauce. And now, just a splash of dark mushroom soy sauce for the color. A little bit more. And some light soy sauce. This is all countering the sugary goodness from the beginning when we added 5 teaspoons of sugar. There we go. It's starting to look and smell so much like char siu. At about this moment, we're going to add some spring onion. You can give your char siu a little bit of a taste to see if it's too salty or too sugary, and then you just counter that with your whichever one that you want it to be. You want it more salty or you want it more sugary. Now we're going to add 1 tablespoon of cornstarch in a small bowl here. There we go, and we added some cold water. Mix it up so that it becomes milky and dissolved. Now we're going to slowly pour this all over into our porky char siu here. There we go. Slowly does it all around, and we're going to mix it all up. And you can see instantly the sauce has become clingy, and it's clinging on all to that porky goodness there. I can't wait to bite into this, into that delicious Char Siu Bao bun. It's about ready now. Cook it for 1 more minute and set it aside for it to cool off. In the meantime, we're going to prepare about 20 cubes of paper here for the bottom of our Char Siu Bao. There we go, and we're done. It's already been about 2 hours since we've rested our dough there. As you can see, it has risen to about 1 to 1.5 times its original size there. And we're just cleaning our work area here, and we're going to put a dust of flour onto our working surface there. Grab your dough and cut it in half. We're going to work with the half first. Sprinkle more flour on top. As you can see, there's a lot of air bubbles here caused by the yeast and the baking powder. We're just kneading the dough for about 1 to 2 minutes again. There we go. Knead it until it's no more sticky. Once that is done, we're about to roll it out with our rolling pin. We're going to roll it out into a circular piece of pastry here. After you're done, we're going to fold it up, and we're going to roll it back out again into a circular pastry again. We'll do this about twice. When you're done, we're going to roll it up like this. There we go, into a nice roll here. And then we're going to cut it into equal parts. This should be about 10 parts here. When finished cutting, we're going to place the other parts inside our mixing bowl so it does not dry up. Using the 1 piece of dough, we're going to roll it out flat. It's going to look like a round piece of pastry, and the thickness will be about 3 to 4 millimeters thick. Once done, you'll place that pastry in your hand, nearly like a cupping position, and then you'll take 1 scoop of that char siu mixture there and place it into the dough there, and then you'll use a circular squeeze and pinch motion to close up the bun. When that is finished, you'll place it on top of the prepared cube paper that you made earlier, and there you have it, your char siu bun right there. You'll carefully roll the pastry out again and do the process until you've finished with all your dough. This recipe makes about 20 palm-sized char siu buns, and what you would do is you'd steam all of them, and if you can't eat them all one time, you'd put the others in a plastic bag and deep freeze it. And then when you want to eat it for, say, breakfast, you'll take it out and you'll steam it again. You'd steam it for about 10 to 15 minutes if it's from deep freezer. Have it, you'll have a quick and easy breakfast in the morning. If you have extra char siu left over, what we love to do is make a char siu fried rice. You can check that out in the link below. And we are about done now. On to our final few char siu baos. In the meantime, get your steamer ready by boiling the water. Once that is ready, place your ready-made Char Siu Bao all around, making sure that there is enough space, because as the Char Siu Baos are steaming and cooking, they're going to grow in size a little bit. There we go. And we'll steam this for about 15 minutes. Once that is done, switch off the heat and let it rest for 5 minutes before enjoying your delicious Char Siu Bao. And there you have it, guys. Look how beautiful it is and plump, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. I hope this easy recipe will become one of your favorites. Let me know. Please remember to like, subscribe, recommend, share, and comment on our videos. Your support is much appreciated. Remember to gong that bell icon, as we will be rolling out more videos soon, so don't miss out. Gotcha, gotcha!